Welcome to Iraqi Dinar, the channel where we break down the real stories behind the numbers that shape global finance. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most misunderstood topics in online financial discussions, the 25,000 Iraqi Dinar note. It's a number that looks massive at first glance, but when you do the math, it converts to only about 19 US dollars. That massive gap between face value and exchange rate shocks many people who come across it for the first time. And that confusion often leads to speculation, rumors, and even wild conspiracy theories about what's really going on with the Iraqi dinar. But the truth, as we'll explore today, is grounded not in mystery or manipulation, but in economic fundamentals, historical context, and the realities of Iraq's journey over the last few decades. Understanding the 25,000 dinar to USD rate means understanding how currencies work in the real world. It's not some random number pulled out of thin air. The value of any currency is a reflection of how the world's financial markets view that country's economy, its stability, productivity, and future potential. Every day, trillions of dollars move across borders in the global foreign exchange market, with banks, investors, and governments all playing a part in setting exchange rates. What you see today is the result of countless transactions and decisions happening around the world at lightning speed. For Iraq, its current exchange rate is the visible outcome of decades of economic struggle, political turmoil, and attempts at rebuilding. To really understand how we got here, we have to rewind the clock. Back in the early 1980s, Iraq's economy was strong, incredibly strong, in fact. One Iraqi dinar was worth over 3 US dollars. Fueled by massive oil revenues and growing international confidence, Iraq's currency stood proudly on the global stage. But that changed drastically once the Iran-Iraq War broke out. The long and costly conflict drained the nation's finances and marked the beginning of a slow economic decline that would last for decades. The Gulf War in 1991 and the crushing international sanctions that followed only deepened the damage, isolating Iraq from global trade and sending its economy into a tailspin. The sanctions era hit Iraq harder than most realize. Oil exports, the backbone of its economy, were strangled, foreign reserves dried up, and inflation skyrocketed. By the early 2000s, the dinar had lost nearly all of its international purchasing power. When the US-led invasion happened in 2003, Iraq's financial system was in ruins. To stabilize the economy, a new dinar was issued. It helped stop hyperinflation and made everyday transactions possible again, but the currency entered the global market from a place of deep weakness. It was a new beginning, but not an easy one. When we talk about the strength of a currency, it always comes back to one thing: the health of the economy behind it. Nations with steady growth, low inflation, and stable governments tend to have stronger currencies because investors trust them. They see such countries as safe places to park money. On the flip side, when a country faces high inflation, weak institutions, or constant political unrest, global confidence falls, and so does the value of its currency. Iraq has faced that exact challenge. Even today, while it's making progress, it's still navigating a long and difficult path toward true stability. Political stability, more than anything else, builds trust in a nation's currency. When leadership is steady, laws are enforced fairly, and policies are predictable, investors feel safe bringing money in. That investment fuels business growth, creates jobs, and strengthens the currency over time. Iraq's leaders know this, which is why the push to stabilize politics and security across all provinces is so critical. Global markets are always watching, and every sign of progress, or instability, influences the dinar's value. On the foreign exchange market, everything boils down to supply and demand. When more people and institutions want to buy a currency, its price rises. When demand drops or supply increases too much, the price falls. The Iraqi dinar has struggled to attract global demand, largely because of economic uncertainty and its heavy dependence on one single commodity, oil. The Central Bank of Iraq tries to balance the dinar's supply, keeping it steady within the limits of what the broader economy can sustain. But external pressures, from oil markets to political risk, always play a huge role. Oil, of course, is the heart of Iraq's economy. Nearly all government revenue comes from oil exports, and that makes the dinar's fate closely tied to global oil prices. When oil prices soar, Iraq sees a boost in foreign currency inflows, especially US dollars, which supports the dinar. But when oil prices crash, Iraq's revenues shrink, budgets tighten, and the dinar comes under pressure. This over-reliance on one volatile market makes Iraq's economy vulnerable, and the dinar reflects that vulnerability. In the midst of all this, online chatter about a potential dinar revaluation has exploded over the years. You've probably seen the claims. People saying the Iraqi dinar is about to skyrocket overnight, making early buyers millionaires. It sounds exciting, but it's not how global finance works. Currencies don't just jump in value overnight without major long-term changes in economic fundamentals. Experts agree these get-rich-quick dinar theories are nothing more than speculation. One of the most common myths out there is that the dinar's value is being secretly suppressed and will revalue soon to match the US dollar. But the exchange rate isn't something governments can simply flip like a switch. It's determined by economic performance, international trade, and investor confidence. Another false idea is that the US government somehow controls Iraq's currency. In truth, the dinar's management is handled by Iraq's own central bank, guided by domestic fiscal and monetary policies. There's also a lot of misunderstanding about redenomination. This is when a country changes its banknotes, like removing zeros, to simplify cash handling. But that doesn't mean the currency suddenly becomes more valuable. If Iraq ever redenominated, 1 million old dinars might become 1,000 new ones, with the same total value. It's a cosmetic change, not a hidden jackpot. Believing otherwise has caused many people to lose money on unrealistic expectations. To put things in perspective, Iraq isn't alone in having large denomination currencies. Look at Vietnam, where $1 US equals around 25,000 dong, or Indonesia, where it's about 16,000 rupiah. These are normal outcomes of how those countries' economies evolved. The number of zeros doesn't define a nation's success or failure. What really matters is how much that currency buys within its own borders, and that's key when we talk about purchasing power. Inside Iraq, 25,000 dinars can still go a long way. It can cover meals, groceries, or transportation. The confusion only comes when people compare it directly to the US dollar without understanding local prices and wages. For the average Iraqi family, the dinar isn't a curiosity. It's their everyday tool for life. Looking ahead, Iraq's future and the dinar's strength depends on diversification. The country must build industries beyond oil: agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and technology. A diversified economy is stronger, more flexible, and less at the mercy of oil price swings. This is not a quick fix. It takes years of smart policy, investment, and stability. But every step forward builds real strength behind the dinar. Infrastructure is another critical piece of the puzzle. Reliable power grids, modern roads, digital access. These are the foundations of growth. With them, businesses can thrive, foreign investors can operate, and Iraq's economy can finally begin to compete on a global scale. Progress here directly impacts currency confidence. Right now, though, everyday Iraqis feel the effects of a weak exchange rate. Many carry stacks of cash for daily transactions. Larger deals often happen in US dollars, a process known as dollarization. It's a practical response to uncertainty, but also a reminder of the work still needed to strengthen trust in the dinar. For international visitors or businesses, the local financial system can still be challenging. Cash is king, and credit cards are rarely accepted outside major cities. ATMs can be limited, so understanding the country's financial habits is essential for anyone doing business there. International organizations like the IMF and World Bank continue to work with Iraq, helping to design reforms and policies that stabilize the economy. These partnerships are essential, sharing global expertise on how to manage monetary systems, balance budgets, and create sustainable growth. Iraq's recovery isn't happening in isolation. It's part of a global effort to see the nation stand strong again. At the end of the day, the dinar's story is about more than just currency conversion. It's about history, resilience, and the road to rebuilding. A weak exchange rate doesn't mean failure. It's a reflection of where the country has been and where it's going. The real test lies in how Iraq continues to evolve. So when you see 25,000 dinar equals $19, don't think of it as a mystery or a missed opportunity. Think of it as a snapshot of an economy still rebuilding from decades of hardship. The dinar's value represents both the scars of the past and the potential of the future. If you come across anyone promising overnight riches from dinar investments, be cautious. Always research, always verify. Listen to economists, not hype. The foreign exchange market is unpredictable. Even small political or economic shifts can trigger major changes in value. The smartest move is to stay informed, not to gamble on speculation. Ultimately, the dinar is a mirror of Iraq's national journey, from conflict to recovery, from uncertainty to hope. As Iraq strengthens its institutions, rebuilds its infrastructure, and stabilizes politically, its currency will naturally follow. There's no shortcut to that. Real value comes from real progress. For the global observer, the dinar offers lessons that go far beyond Iraq itself. It shows how politics, economics, and public trust intertwine. It reminds us that a strong currency isn't just about numbers. It's about people, policies, and persistence. So, while 25,000 Iraqi dinars may equal less than $20 today, its true worth lies in what it represents, a nation determined to rebuild, reform, and rise again. And that story is far from over. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe to Iraqi Dinar, and turn on the bell so you never miss an update on Iraq's evolving economic story. Stay informed, stay smart, and as always, thank you for watching.